Ladies and gentlemen, we are here. We are live. Welcome. How you doing? And Mama Quita has a treat for y'all. That's I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Okay, I made it out my mama house. Grown man days now. Different walk with the mission of the same now. Lay down, now I lay down in my grave. I know I'm real, but it's just too much of it's making me fade. So I can walk through the valley. I got my people around me, secure the bed like it's Cali, just making moves. Like it's 1999, it's historic, cause God making me to shine. Yeah, all the rumors that you heard is true. I'm the hype, I'm the living proof. Don't hate me cause he made me this crazy. Yeah, it's just history, baby. All the rumors that you heard is true. I'm the hype, I'm the living proof. Don't hate me cause he made me this crazy. Made me this crazy. I'm making history, baby. Yeah, we making history, baby. We making history, baby. I'm making history, baby. Yeah, ain't no mystery, baby. We making history lately. Yeah, cause we the rookies of the year. All I see is devils in my rear. Yeah, we making history, baby. It's just history, baby. This that Diana Ross singing with the Supremes. It's Barack being the president, you know what I mean. This that Moses using the stabbing part in the seat. This mic hitting the moon while Billie Jean up on the screen. Like, good ain't good enough. The snakes ain't drilling us. I'm focused, baby. You want that woulda, coulda, shoulda stuff. Put me in the Guinness book, he made me this crazy. Hey, it's just history, baby. All the rumors that you heard is true. I'm the hype, I'm the living proof. Don't hate me cause he made me this crazy. Made me this crazy. I'm making history, baby. Yeah, we making history, baby. We making history, baby. I'm making history, baby. Yeah, ain't no mystery, baby. We making history lately. Yeah, cause we the rookies of the year. All I see is devils in my rear. Yeah, we making history, baby. It's just history, baby. All I know is I got it. Just give me a dime in my pocket. Ay, we making history, baby. It's just history, baby. Yeah. All I know is I got it. Just give me a dime in my pocket. Ay, we making history, baby. We making history, baby. Yeah. All the rumors that you heard is true. I'm the hype, I'm the living proof. Don't hate me cause he made me this crazy. Yeah, it's just history, baby. All the rumors that you heard is true. I'm the hype, I'm the living proof. Don't hate me cause he made me this crazy. Made me this crazy. I'm making history, baby. Yeah, we making history, baby. We making history, baby. I'm making history, baby. Yeah, ain't no mystery, baby. We making history lately. Yeah, cause we the rookies of the year. All I see is devils in my rear. Yeah, we making history, baby. It's just history, baby.
It's time to get up and get ready. Yeah. For the hottest morning show in the ATL. It's the Wake, Bake, and Coffee Morning Show. Live with Georgia First Black Governor. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring to you the most interactive radio show live. We bring in the hottest news, the illest independent artists, and a whole lot of love, baby. Okay. Time to get up, roll up, sit back, and ride to the Wake, Bake, and Coffee Morning Show with your host, Georgia's first black governor. Yes, yes, yes. Good morning, and Mama Quita is frozen. Like,
why am I frozen?
I don't know. But welcome, ladies and gentlemen, as Mama Quita unfreeze herself. I'd like to welcome everybody to the WakeBake Coffee Morning Show. Good morning, Miss Vegas. Good morning, Poetic. Steve's in the building. Good morning, Miss Kizzy. Good morning, Miss Teresa over on YouTube. Everybody make sure you hit the like button. Whether you on YouTube, whether you on Facebook, make sure you hit the like button. Mama Quita is back. Hey, Mama Quita. And while you are also hitting this button, also make sure you hit that share button. Tell people you here. Let people know we exist. We thank y'all so kindly. It is a beautiful, beautiful Thursday morning here for Mama Quita Love Series. And we got some new music, poetic new music. We got JB Versatile. And we got the sister of the niece of the WakeBake Coffee Morning Show, our other niece, Miss Morgan Dyson. We got new music for y'all. Y'all are gonna love it. I promise you. I promise you. I promise you. So, welcome everybody to the WakeBake Coffee Morning Show. How are y'all doing? I look frozen on, well, I'm not frozen on this side of YouTube, but I am. Good morning, J Finn. What it do, brethren? Welcome this morning. Welcome. That's my big brother right there. You know. Half of this wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for Mr. J. So I thank y'all, man. How's everybody doing this morning? Hopefully everybody's doing good. I'm blessed, thankful for being alive. Are you grateful for being alive? If you are grateful for being alive, just go ahead and put it in the comments what you grateful for this morning. I'm grateful for, I sound weird. Oh, that's because I'm on Zoom. And by the fact that I can't mute Mama Quita, it kind of has like this echo. I've been trying to figure out how to get it done where I don't sound weird. Thank you, sir. I try to figure out how not to sound weird, but I have to keep Mama Quita on the desktop audio. So I'm going to figure it out. We're going to get everything straight for 2020. But I am glad that everybody is here. I'm grateful to be here. Grateful for my wife, my children, parents, siblings, friends, family, our foes, and the trolls. Yes. So I am grateful. I am grateful. I am grateful. You see me clear too. I took notes. When you sent me the notes, I paid attention. I wanted to do better. I wanted to do better. We gotta do better. I wanted to do better. So I thank you, my brethren. You know, definitely. Cause you know, at first I used to look like a black dot. You know, it's, God, we can't see you. I thank you, my brother. I give all praise and honor to my Heavenly Father, man, for even touching you to even sit down with me, give me some tricks of the trade, send me information. I'm glad that he touched your heart. So I give all praise and honor to my Heavenly Father. I thank everybody that's in here. Tell us what you're thankful for this morning. I would like to know. I know it's past Thanksgiving, and people don't talk about that after the fact, but I want to know what you're grateful for. Mama Quita, what you grateful for this morning?
I'm grateful for waking up this morning. How about that? Starting.
Mama Quita, you mute. Somebody don't like Mama Quita. Oh man, Mr. Poetic said he's thankful to be alive, thankful to have talent to inspire our people to think higher or to higher thinking. Miss Vegas said thankful for life, health, strength, family, and friends. So, what do y'all? Steve can't type nothing. He driving, and you know there's no texting and driving. Steve, I don't want you to catch a ticket. Miss Teresa, what y'all grateful for over there? Why am I echoing in the background? Oh man. My man John said, thankful for my smart ace son, good friends, and family. They said, come on, Mama Quita, get it together.
I'm together. I'm sorry. Oh, wait a minute. Am I still stuck?
No, you're not stuck now.
Okay.
It's just a little delay, you know.
All right.
Nah, man, Jay said I'm thankful for my job and the money I get so I can do what I want to do. That sound like Mama Quita.
Did Steve say my freaking petition?
Oh, Steve said my freaking petition. He's grateful for his petition. Oh, and Steve, I'm a man of my word. Your vow for today is the letter I. And maybe I should tell you that came out of her middle name. He asked for a vow. He didn't say which name. He just, no, that came from the middle name. He asked for a vow. I said I was gonna be a man of my word and give it to him. Right. So it's the Mama Quita Love Series. I thank y'all for tuning in and rocking out with us. Mama Quita said that I had to give y'all my inspirational rant later, because she's ready to jump in, because Mama Quita is going to depart from us in a few. So, I'm willing to do that. Good morning, Miss Allen. Welcome. What are you grateful for? Miss Teresa, what are you grateful for?
Y'all got children. Your children would drive you crazy. I'm grateful for my children, but love. That was my daughter calling me. That's why I had to put y'all on a quick hold. Yeah, about that. All right.
I got adults.
It don't matter whether they're adults or little. They all get on your nerves. You love them. You love them to life, but they all get on your nerves.
Got you, Jay.
Okay. All right, we're gonna jump into this because I do have to leave. I have to depart from you guys early. Nobody can hear. Y'all can't hear. Good.
Well, that's because I was taking instructions in the back. So since I was taking instructions, but I realized that I got to figure out how to combine us when we are on Zoom, so we can talk through one mic. And then two, because I'm pretty sure sometimes it sounds like I be echoing. So, and if I cut the mic down, because I can even hear myself.
Okay. I love you, all of that. You know, we cool like that, but I need to get into this.
Life and being in my right mind. Right. What's on you, Mama Quita? Hit the floor.
All right. Hey, y'all. Hey. First, let me say I am so thankful for all of y'all, because y'all just give me life. All of y'all. Good get under my skin sometimes, and y'all keep me grounded. Like y'all make sure my mind is right. So yeah, still love you though, bro. You know, we still there. Okay. Okay, so I don't know if y'all saw the video that I uploaded 2 days ago? I think it was 2 days ago, and I probably need to start back doing my videos on a consistent basis. But I did a video and I was telling men how women hold things and then give it back to you. So I decided to elaborate on that today. And the show is called Incubation. When a woman is pregnant, usually they call it the gestation period. And it's the time in which one or more offspring develops inside of a woman before she gives birth to it, before the raising process begins. Incubation is the period between exposure to infection and the appearance of the first symptoms, or the interval of time required for development. Now, I decided to use incubation versus gestation because in incubation, it talks more about the time required for development, but the exposure to an infection and the appearance of the first symptoms. And what we need to understand, gentlemen, well, before I get into the explanation, let me read to you all the same thing that I read on the video, because I found this to be very, very interesting. First off, I'm reading a book called Love, Sex, and Marriage from a man that has failed at all three. And it's by Dr. Dallas C. Wilson Jr. Y'all can tell we read a lot around here. So this particular passage says, Adam called her just like he saw her, womb man. The glaring difference Adam saw was that Eve possessed a womb, which gave her the God-given ability to receive his seed, nurture it, and let it mature within her, give birth, and present what was born back to him. I'm going to say that again. The glaring difference Adam saw was that Eve possessed a womb, which gave her the God-given ability to receive his seed, nurture it, and let it mature within her, give birth, and present what was born back to him. So then he says some other stuff, and then he goes on to say, brothers, be careful what you say, do, or call a woman. She will take what you give her, nurture it, and let it mature within her, give birth to it, and put it back in your lap to raise. I'm going to read that again because I need y'all to hear me really clear. Brothers, be careful what you say, do, or call a woman. She will take what you give her, nurture it, and let it mature within her, give birth to it, and put it back in your lap to raise. If you give her unfaithfulness, neglect, abuse, and drama, she will birth bitterness, anger, resentment, and possibly hatred. Then put it back in your lap to raise. Now, how powerful is the same paradigm? If we give her love, security, protection, and a godly example to follow. How powerful is this same paradigm if we give her love, security, protection, and a godly example to follow? It can only increase fulfillment for both. Watch what you deposit into her, because she will return it to you with accrued interest. When I read that, it kind of blew my mind, because the first thing that I thought about was how women hold on to things. Even after we've said we forgive you, even after we said we're over it, it can be a year or two pass and we'll bring it back up. We're still giving you the repercussions of whatever it was that you did without saying it, not understanding that all this time we are still hanging on to stuff. We are still, it's still incubating in us. And it has not reached the time of birthing yet. You've not felt the full blast of it until you hit that final nerve. What they say, the straw that breaks the camel back, that thin line, and then it pops. The period between exposure to infection. When you abuse, neglect, misuse, that's setting in an infection. At first, it may not appear. She's quiet. She's acting as if everything's okay. But the more time that passes, she's never dealt with it and it's incubating. It's growing within her. And then you see all of a sudden a change in her, especially if you've hurt her, if you've broken trust. All of a sudden, you'll see her become someone else. And it's little slight changes. She may become fussy. She may become attitudinal. She may begin to slowly but surely treat you differently. Y'all men know what I'm talking about. Y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. You've seen it. You've been a part of it. It's the time of incubation. And then when things get to a point, because usually within that incubation time, you don't realize it's an incubation. So the more you do, the more you're giving her to incubate. The more you're giving her ammunition, the more it's building. So the baby is growing, kind of like a snowball effect. Starts off small, and then the more you add to it, the bigger it gets. The baby is literally growing before she births it. Be careful what you say, what you do, and how you treat her. Because everything that you say and do, you're fertilizing her. Pregnancy comes about through intercourse or assisted reproductive technology. You can't get pregnant without assistance. The woman can't look at herself and become pregnant. It takes a man. And even if you are a lesbian or a woman who are married to a woman, it still takes a man's sperm. So anywhere it goes, it takes a man. Sexual intercourse or reproductive technology. Fertilization. And in relationships, you have a lot of fertilization in different forms. So in that gestation period or the incubation period, and then when I thought about the word incubation, I thought about a preemie. Think about a preemie. When a preemie is born, it cannot function on its own. So they set them in this plastic, I call it a baking box. It's warm. They still have all the tubes. It's still as if they're in the mother's womb, but they're developing outside of the mother's womb. And the parents are on the outside, still going through all of the emotions that they would if the baby was on the inside, with the difference of it being more intense. Because with preemies, you're more on edge because you're trying to make sure that your baby survives. So that means the emotional is even more intense. Just as if there's an infection in your body, depending on the type of rejection, you're trying to figure out, am I going to survive? The emotions are more intense. And the more time that goes by, the birthing process is going to end up being a little bit harder. So when she births that baby and places it into your lap to raise, do you want to raise resentment? Do you want to raise anger? Do you possibly want to raise hatred? Or do you want to raise love, compassion, protection? Which of the two would you prefer? Especially dealing with where? Okay, y'all can't see good. He done left me. But that's my spiel for today. I knew I had to leave y'all, so I knew it was going to be quick. That's my spiel, good. I knew I had to leave y'all. That's it.
That's all we get?
Quick and to the point.
20 minutes? That's it?
Quick and to the point. Quick and to the point.
That's it?
Yep.
So I
It's
tell you
10:30.
So I tell you
What?
We're going to take a break, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back with more of the Wake, Bake, and Coffee Morning Show. And with that being said, here's my man Poetic with motivation.
It's motivation for my people. Yeah. It's motivation for my people. Yeah. I'm a poet with a purpose, gifted with talent and a curse. By 29 I had a power burst, like Blade they walk, I got the thirst. Hot as artist and I never curse. I'm weird, I must be from multiverse. I'm fighting for young people cause I'm trying to keep them from showing up in a hearse. 100,000 on my concert, I'm hoping that all of them convert. I'm tomahawking on them off-bird, I'm about to blow up Starburst. No tattoos, got scars to hurt, I'm a beacon for my people of hope. Grown man and I never sold, trying to own more land than the Pope. Me falling off, that's an insult. Got metaphors, that's in vogue. Imagine 1,000,000 Bibles in a boat, I guess that's the meaning of hope floats. More spins than a centerfold, hotter than hot earwax, running down your earlobe. The hottest artist is the invented Interscope.
Make this for my people that don't get to see me. Trying to remind you who you are, just like in Romans 3. See, we about to blow across the world just like a day that's breezy. This motivation for the people and this classic Bible teaching say, make this for my people that don't get to see me. Trying to remind you who you are, just like in Romans 3. See, we about to blow across the world just like a day that's breezy. This motivation for the people and this classic Bible teaching say,
I came up in poverty with dreams of winning the lottery. Didn't know the Lord put a lot in me. More than these dollars I gotta be. I'm hotter than probably all of these artists from Jimmy Carter to the bottom that I see. My own Bible I had to be. Never hit the bottle, master C. Remember father, mastery. No pence in the product God said to me. Blessing to this industry, cause I'm woke and I see. On every corner got enemies, on other corners got frenemies. Don't give it none of my energy, just want the world to remember me. That's one of the coldest and one of the boldest. That's one of the oldest that held the door open for all of my folks. My words are spoken, they're keeping them woken. They're bragging, they're boasting, they're tagging, it's over. I'm snagging the focus, they're hackers and open. They're crackers and cold, they're smacking the bros. They're packing the foes, they're back to expose. This damage is over, like damage and folk. They're damaging Kobe and having him open. I'm hammering open and salmon is folks. The cameras is open, the camera is broken. The damage is catastrophic, it can't turn it, but we still growing. Something out of nothing, steadily going. These seeds still need sowing.
make this for my people that don't get to see me. Trying to remind you who you are, just like in Romans 3. See, we about to blow across the world just like a day that's breezy. This motivation for the people and this classic Bible teaching say, make this for my people that don't get to see me. Trying to remind you who you are, just like in Romans 3. See, we about to blow across the world just like a day that's breezy. This motivation for the people and this classic Bible teaching say,
I'm taking out these stress at night. Like Jet Li, I was blessed to fight. Like Bruce Lee, I'm as quick as lightning. Like Stan Lee, I love to write. Like Kunta Kinte, I'm a straight fighter. Like Django, I'm a street fighter. Like Clark Kent, I'm never tired. Like God, forever inspired. But let me address that Kunta line. Both of my feet, they function fine. Still got my own mind. Fresh out of the pen from doing time. But freeing souls up all the time. Helping them see a better time. Cleaning them up like turpentine. GFL still fighting crime.
It's for my people that don't get to see me. Trying to remind you who you are, just like in Romans 3. See, we about to blow across the world just like a day that's breezy. This motivation for the people and this classic Bible teaching say, make this for my people that don't get to see me. Trying to remind you who you are, just like in Romans 3. See, we about to blow across the world just like a day that's breezy. This motivation for the people and this classic Bible teaching. Hey, 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 hey. Motivation for my people. Hey, 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 yo, yo, yeah, yeah. It's motivation. Yeah, yeah, for my people. Yeah, 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 yeah.
We'll be back with more of the WakeBake and Coffee Morning Show, live with Georgia's first black governor. Calling all my people on the night shift, the late drivers of Uber and Lyft, the night hawks, the creepers, heading home from the club, or you just up doing what grown folks do. You need to be tuned in to the hottest radio personality in the ATL, Big Ray Van Groove, from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. on Magic 107.5, 97.5, the real sounds of Atlanta. At the Andrew and Walter Young Family YMCA, our staff lives by one golden rule: smile. And what does that mean? Serving members in love every day. Y'all know what time it is. Mama Quita.
Love series.
Y'all know what time it is. Mama Quita. Love series. Mama Quita. Y'all know what time it is. Yes. Let's get into this new music. Here's Morgan Dyson, but there's this boy.
There's this boy, oh this boy, and he brings me so much joy. I just can't get him out of my mind. When I think of his smile, it makes my mind go wild, and I feel like a child, 'cause this feeling is so pure. It's so pure and so true. I can't stop thinking of you. What the hell did you do? Got me calling you my boo. When people ask about you, I think I'm in love, and I don't want to fight it. I think I am in like with you, boy. Oh, you bring me so much joy.
There's this boy, oh this boy, and he brings me so much joy. I just can't get him out of my mind. It's the eye contact that keeps me content. You're the love of my soul, and you fit every bow. When I'm with you, I can't catch a breath. Everything has to be in depth, not complicated at all. Just want you to answer my call. All in for mine. If your love or support is part-time, the 9 to 5 overtime, and you keep it consistently. Decide you're it constantly, not a regular girl. So don't treat me as if I am different. I'm not your friend.
can't get him out of my mind.
Yeah. Welcome back to the WakeBake and Coffee Morning Show, man. We're here. Mama Quita Love Series. Why? Hello? Why can't I? Why I'm only playing out of one ear? What's going on with the sound today? Somebody tricking me this morning. Somebody tricking me. I don't know what happened. Mama Quita logged off, took all the sound with her. Right. So we're here, man. Welcome back to the WakeBake and Coffee Morning Show. How's everybody doing? Mama Quita left y'all with the incubation. And I'm going to elaborate a little bit just to stick my nose in. To me, that's almost like what you sow, you reap. The greatest incubator in the world is soil. Anybody who knows anything about planting, anybody who knows anything about gardening or harvesting, understands that you can't do nothing for me, Bixby, but leave me alone. Knows a couple of things. Number one, you understand that the greatest time to plant, to sow, is during the fall month. As fall transforms into winter, the ground becomes an incubator for what you sowed. Because of the heat under the earth and the coldness on the top prepares whatever it was that you have sown into the ground. Now, come springtime, it's harvest season. So whatever has been incubating, shall it produce. Whatever you sow into the ground, it shall take it in. It shall nurture it. And then it will give itself, then it will give back to you what you have sown. As she said, whatever you sow to a woman is what she will give back to you. But that goes for everything in life. Whatever seeds you're planting, whatever you put out into the world, it shall come back to you. It shall incubate itself. It shall nurture itself. It will manifest itself, and then it will come back to you. This is not just in women. This is in life in general. God said as long as the earth remains, there will be harvest season. There will be sow time and harvest time. The question now becomes, what are you sowing? What are you putting out there? What are you giving in order to receive? What type of seeds are you planting? And as she even spoke of the book that she read, what are you giving to women? What are you planning? And it is almost as in child. Good morning, Mr. Childs. As Mama Quita said, a woman will take what you give her. She will dwell on it. She will manifest in it. She will nurture it. She will manifest it, and she will give it back to you. Just almost as if she's pregnant. You give her a seed, she will nurture it, it will manifest itself, and then she will present it back to you. Good morning, Miss Margot. The same thing as it is in life. The same thing it is during hard sowing and harvest season. Whatever you sow into the ground, it will take, it will nurture, it will manifest, and it will bring itself back to you. Also, under the same guidelines of the seeds that you sow into people, the things that you do around you, what you put out into the world, it will eventually be sown, nurtured, manifest, and given back to you. The earth is an incubator. A woman's womb is an incubator. But people themselves are the same. You have to understand you reap what you sow. So let's take this a tad bit further. I want to know, should I close my door? Nope, I'll keep it open. So, what you give sometimes is what you get. What you sow, you shall also reap. Are we all on the same page, or are we not? What you put out into the world is sometimes what you get back. Incubation takes place in many forms. Incubation takes place more than just for premature babies, more than just in a woman's womb, more than just in a woman's mind, more than just you sowing seed into the ground to reap harvest. I had a conversation with a how can I say this the right way? I had a conversation with someone who reminded me that they had a PhD. And he made sure to remind me that he had a PhD because he wanted me to know that he was educated. And throughout the entire conversation, it was also to be used to say, because you have a PhD, that you know more. Okay? He sold into an education and he got out a PhD. But throughout the entire conversation, what he kept sowing into this incubator was white supremacy. So he kept telling me it was white supremacy. Ms. Margot said, educated jackbutts are not humbled. I wasn't worried about him being humble, because when he approached me from afar and said, my brother, I've been meaning to see you. I told people that knew you that I wanted to see you because I saw you on the news and all on social media advocating for Donald Trump. And I, my brother, need to know why. I need to understand why. And And I'm not trying to attack you, my brother. I just, I have plenty of people I know who support the man. But I just need to know why you? Why you? Why you? So I said, well, I like the new regulations for business. Oh, well, I know all about businesses. I have a PhD in business. And through the entire conversation, I felt like I was consistently given excuses because of the seeds that have been sown and how they have been incubated. Oh, I figure I'll tie this right on into the love series. Thank you, Mama Quita. As he was approaching me and as he was telling me, hey, I've been meaning to speak to you, the Holy Spirit starts speaking to me. J Fan on Facebook said, who gets a PhD in business? I'm just telling you what the man told me. Wait a minute. He said, who gets a PhD in business? Apparently he did. I didn't even know they. I knew they had master's degrees. Maybe so you could say you a doctorate in business. I don't know. But this is the same brother that told me in the same breath that black people don't support business. And this is the same gentleman that also told me that majority of his clientele are white. And white corporations pay him to come out and teach what he knows. Jay said, like a business degree today is dumb, but a PhD, your doctorate in business is when you make your millions. Ms. Margot said he'll be the first one not to support blacks. But wait a minute. We just... Poetic said, I'm not a Trump fan, but I'm a WakeBake show fan, and I thank you. But I had to iterate because the Holy Spirit told me, when he comes to you, keep this in mind. He was raised in a different time, before my time, and he was a Muslim. So now, I didn't judge him on being raised before my time because I understand the seeds that were planted prior to me being here. Nor did I judge him for being a Muslim because that's your choice. Throughout the conversation, in the beginning of the conversation, he was like, I see that you are a Trump supporter. I saw you all on the news. I saw you all on social media. So the first thing I said to him was, the news? You saw me on the news? For real? Oh, okay, cool. Big up to the WakeBake and Coffee Morning Show for making the news. I didn't even know we made the news, but if we did, okay. So I said, well, let me stop you right there. I said, I don't agree with everything Trump says. I don't agree with a lot of ways of how he say things, nor do I agree with everything that he does. I am a different Trump supporter. I support majority of his policies does not necessarily mean I support the man, but I support the law. And that is the difference. Secondly, I am also a different Trump supporter because you just can't run up on me screaming, I can't believe you're a Trump supporter. Because I'm not the ones that y'all see on CNN who get jumped on. I will literally pep you out. Male, female, young, old, doesn't matter. He was judging you already and hating you. I mean, that's cool. I mean, and it's cool if I was being judged. Because he said he had been waiting for weeks to talk to me because he couldn't believe what he saw or what he heard. And I said, well, cool. I can understand that. Boom. So he said, well, since you like policies, what policies do you like? So I told him I like the $5 billion for Juneteenth. I told him I like the new crime bill that's releasing black men out of prison, putting them to work. What it do, Big Juice? And I said I also like the fact of the tax cuts that he's given to businesses, and I also like how he has scaled back some regulations. So you're telling me businesses shouldn't be regulated? Well, it depends on the industry and how and what is being regulated. Then that's when he proceeded to tell me, well, I have a PhD in business, so I should know how this goes. I said, well, I've owned 3 businesses. One I dissolved, 2 that I still have up and running. So he then proceeds to tell me that the reason that black people haven't succeeded is because of white supremacy. He also proceeded to tell me he's not a Republican nor a Democrat, nor does he really support any candidate or truly votes. And the only way he will is a candidate has to stand up and fight white supremacy. So I started to ask a series of questions. And what I've learned, something that Mama Quita pulled me to the side to tell me one day, was how I respond. And learn, and she pulled out a Bible verse on me, which I couldn't argue with, which is, be quick to listen and slow to speak. So I listened to what the brother had to say to me. But I had to understand where he was coming from and what seeds was being sown into his incubator. I had to listen very closely. Ms. Margot said it's not what you say, but how you say it. Well, I was paying attention to everything. What he said, how he said. John on Facebook said, I somewhat agree with him on that point. Well, this was the point that I raised. I said, with all the billionaires and millionaires that we have from our community, why don't we have our own? Well, you know, brother, white supremacy will do this and do that to stop you from doing what you're doing. Oh, okay. I said, well, why instead of us raising NFL players, MLB players, NBA players, why aren't we raising politicians to combat what you consider to be white supremacy? Well, my brother, you know, because of white supremacy, we're psychologically, messed up. I said, well, you know this as Do you know this to be a fact? He said, yeah, brother, we are psychologically programmed. I said, so when are you going to unpsychologically program yourself? So he brought up systematic racism as well. So this is what I said. When are you going to unpsychologic yourself? Well, my brother, what makes you think that you can really move how you want to move because of white supremacy and, you know, with the systematic setup and, you know. I said, but wait a minute. I said, we got to start on the local level. Why aren't we raising up politicians? We quick to put our kids in sports, but we're not quick to put them in law. We're quick to put our kids to because we want to have billions and millions of dollars. Oh, but I said, so with all of the millionaires that we have, you telling me we can't establish our own banks? Well, my brother, you know, because it's how it's systematically set up, you know, they'll try to deregulate black banks. Again, why? Why would they systematically, if we are birthing politicians instead of football players, then we can go in and write the laws that will benefit us. The same way you feel white supremacists do the same through systematic racism. I said, and now since you understand that there's systematic racism, I said there was something that my dad always told me. Learn the rules of the game and then play your game. I said, learn the rules of the game and then play your game. So if I understand the rules was designed for me to fail, how do I play the game to succeed? Mr. John said, because many don't know politics. Mama Quita said, don't care to know about politics. And John said, there's a point there. Black banks have many uphill battles. But a black bank, okay, let's narrow this down to what is considered to be the blackest city in America on the East Coast. Big Juice said that I was talking to a black brother in Pittsburgh, and he kept on going about Jay-Z is not going to change anything in the NFL, and he's not. That was upon capitalistic peace, opportunist peace, but that's a different story. So let's narrow this down to a black city. One of the blackest cities I know on the East Coast, outside of what used to be D.C., known as the Chocolate City, would be right here in the ATL. Banks are regulated on a federal level. Also, when you open up banks inside of a state, you also have to adjust yourself on a state level. So my question again is, if you feel that black banks are having uphill battle, then why aren't we raising politicians that understand the uphill battle to go in and make the proper changes? Well, you know, my brother, white supremacy come in and they paying off black leaders. But y'all still voting for the black leaders that you know that you feel are being paid off. Because at this particular point, I feel white supremacy and systematic racism, yes, it did take part in America. Yes, we did fall short. Yes, it did push us back. Yes, but you constantly vote for those that are part of the system. I'm confused. Well, my brother, we worth about 1.2 trillion. So if we're worth 1.2 trillion, then what is the problem? Why can't we build our own schools? Well, because with white supremacy, they not gonna let us, my brother, be able to come in and build schools. Okay. Again, why are you afraid of white supremacy in 2019? John said again, people don't understand policies. It's easy to follow a football game than it is to follow the impeachment process. Ms. Margot said, I'm flabbergasted. By the time I finished the conversation, I was too, especially after you told me you had a PhD. Because if you understand how the game is played, it's like if me and John and Big Juice, what about the Black Lives Matter movement? That is a gay and lesbian movement. So I don't even get into that. That wasn't started for black people. That was started for black lesbians. Go check out their website. My thing is, if you know this is happening, why don't you combat it and correct it? If you know this is taking place, that's just like me. That's what it say. So me and Jay want to go and play the basketball. We want to go play ball. Okay? I know the rules, but Jay doesn't. So that means I have an advantage over Jay. If he dropped the ball with both hands, double dribble, my ball. If he don't dribble and take more than 2 steps, that's traveling, my ball. Eventually, Jay will learn the rules to the game. And once he learns the rules to the game, then he should be able to play accordingly. Then he would know that you dribble with one hand. Nah, that's Jay. He just on this other page. I was being respected. I was being respectable. So now if you know that you got to dribble with one hand, you can only take 2 steps without putting the ball on the floor. So now if you understand how to play the game, but yet if you still decide to hold the ball, if you still decide to travel, if you still decide to double dribble, then that means that you don't care to learn the game. And then you can't be mad if I take advantage of you. Just as Jay said, you don't want to understand politics. No, that's not Miss Graham. That's Jay Finn. That's my homeboy, Jay. It's the same person. He just has a different page. What's wrong with gays? Ain't nothing. I mean, that's what they do. I don't play in that arena. So if that's what they want to do, that's what they do. The problem I have is they're trying to push it on our children. That's the problem I have with gays. Leave that in your house and leave our children alone. So now, if you understand the rules to the game, then play it. Come in and play your game. Stop telling me about white supremacy, because I told him I don't care about white supremacy. White supremacy does not scare me, because the God that I serve said whatever door he opens, no man can shut. Whatever door he opens, no white supremacist can shut. No KKK can shut. No government can shut. They can try to come against it. They can form weapons, but they weapons won't prosper. Well, my brother, if you believe in God, then that's who you should be out there advocating for. I do 3 times a week, and that's how you saw it off my show. Maybe if you come in and stop second guessing, then you will understand that I advocate for my God daily. Well, you know, they would tell you to hate Farrakhan. You can't tell me to hate nobody. Well, that's what they do. You know, white supremacists in the media, that's what they do. They tell you to hate Farrakhan because they call it hate speech. But why are you stuck on white supremacists? Because this is what you have sown, and this is what you have incubated over time. As Mama Quita says, what you get, you sow it, it's incubated, it's nurtured, it's manifest, and then it's given back. Now he come in as Jay Finn. There you go, Mama Quita. My thing is this. God told me he don't give me the spirit of fear. And the only person I fear is God. Is that said, is this better? I'm gonna call you Jay. I was because everybody saw you as John, so I didn't. That's the only reason why I kept saying it. But Jay, that's my man. I love Jay. Oh man, that's my brother, man. I love him. He has a great sense of humor. So, but what I told him was, I don't care if you're a black supremacist, a white supremacist, a Chinese supremacist, a dis supremacist, whatever. I don't care about your systematic racism. Because what was sown into me was that God is in control of everything. You can hate me. You can be the KKK Big Juice. You can be a racist. I know black people who hate black people. But the point that I'm making is, stop giving me the same excuses that y'all have been given for the last 50, 60 years. How long are we going to continue to plant this seed, nurture this seed, incubate this seed, manifest this seed, and keep giving it back? When will we eventually unpsychologic whatever ourselves? What are you afraid of? Well, my brother, you know, if we build up black communities, you saw what happened in Tulsa and what they did here. That was 60 years ago. Do you honestly think white people will show up and burn down black buildings in 2019, 2020? Honestly. And I mean that for everybody. No white person is going into the Latino community, the Asian community. Nobody is going. Yes, it happened in the 80s. It happened in the 60s. It happened in the 70s. But in 2019, 2020, How many black and Latinos think that whites are going to come into their community and burn it down if they build it? Let me ask a question. Did white people burn it down, or did we riot and burn it down? Somebody shot up the Walmart last month. Was it a white supremacist that shot up the Walmart? Because let me ask this question. Who truly terrorizes our neighborhoods? Let's just be 100. Let's just be honest. Who truly? It was a white supremacist. Okay. How did he get in? And who terrorized? Okay, so that's one incident. Okay, so we got one incident of a white supremacist that shot up a Walmart. But how many young black men robbed that Walmart before the white supremacist shot it up? I'll wait. I'll take that. Welcome back, Miss Margot. I'll take that a white supremacist shot up the Walmart a month ago. But how many times was that Walmart robbed? How many times was the Walmart robbed by us? The hell? That is now the answer, the question that I have. I need to call these folks because y'all ain't supposed to be setting down my Zoom. What the hell? Pay the bill, Gov. The bill is paid. That's why I'm trying to figure out how they shut it down. So my question now becomes, you don't even know that question. You don't even know that question. Are you comparing apples to oranges? No, I'm not comparing apples to oranges. What I'm drawing is a comparing. What I'm showing is what I am showing is this. In 2018, and because 2019 isn't over. In 2018, 8 blacks were shot by white police officers. In 2018, 30 whites were shot by police officers. In 2018, 275,000 blacks were killed by blacks. Only 110,000 whites were killed by whites. Now, last year, 2018, just in the black community alone, there was 625,000 abortions. Who terrorize our neighborhoods the most? Because I can't keep sitting here focusing on white supremacy when I should be focusing on building. Another problem that I'm having is, it's not going to let me add. Unless you have, you got Zoom. Well, answer the question. Because my thing is this. I don't focus on white supremacy. Because at that point, it's almost like you want me to hate white people. Because I still ask the question, do you know why blacks was enslaved? Just as I asked him, if we spend $1.2 trillion a year, then why don't we have our own? And don't tell me white supremacy when we have the power to vote in politicians that we decide to put in office. Racism doesn't affect me. And I can understand the foundation of this country. I can understand this, that, and the third. But blacks were slaves 157 years before this country was even in existence. So before America even came into existence, there were slaves in this land. And the same people who were slaves in this land 157 years before America started were slaves in the other continent that they came from. Our conversation have much depth for social media. If you don't understand what is happening, do you want me to get into how racism has affected you? Please explain. What's good, my brother? Want me to close it? Oh, no, you're fine. So, things that are set up systematically. Slavery was different in Africa. Slavery was slavery. You wasn't what they call them, where you working off of debt. But I'm in control of my health. I'm in control of my destiny. How is my health care going? Oh, I'm fully covered. My health care is great, courtesy of Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield. My health is good because I don't get caught up in what everybody else is doing. Indigent servants. No, we wasn't. Not according to when I was over there. That's not what they told me. When I was over there and read their history books, we wasn't indigenous servants. We wasn't indigenous servants. You was a slave there the same way you was a slave here. They killed you there the same way they killed you here. Togo. Because that's where my people are from. Well, not necessarily my people, but my homegirl and her family and the artists that I work with and wrote for, they was in Togo. And their history books and their ancestors and their great-grandparents say something completely different than what we were told on this side of the Ethiopian Ocean. Well, now the Atlantic Ocean. Because he also told me that black people in this city has a plan and they trying to get the government involved. But if you're telling me that this person is your enemy, why would you tell them your plan? Will I think we ever be accepted in society? Aren't we accepted right now? I'm confused. I'm accepted pretty much everywhere I go. I never really had any problems. Now I've had my share of a small few. So if I can count on my hands, I got 10 fingers. Out of 40 years, I probably ran into 3. So do I hold, and it's almost, let's look at it from this way. Is all black people thugs, drug dealers? Because Mr. J owns his own business, and he's very successful. And he's a genius and very great at what he does. So do I loop him in the same category as the two dudes that ran from the police yesterday? Said the treatment of slaves in Africa varied widely. A former slave remembers slaves being well fed, well treated. Another former slave who wrote an account of his life noted that slaves might even own slaves themselves. In large states, and other slaves worked in government administration might become an important state or royal official with wide-ranging powers. Other slaves in Africa might work within the master's household as domestic servants or agricultural laborers. Others were sent to work on the gold mines of West Africa. Picture there two weights and shapes of a soldier and captive. They were used to weigh gold dust, which is itself used as a type of money. Mining for gold was hard and dangerous work. Many died. But back to the Walmart question. How many times were people shot up in Walmart in El Paso? Good morning, Miss Graham. Big Jew said, okay, Gov, me being white, how many times black looked at me weird? I'm one of them, but they don't even know me. This is my thing. Because it's 3, I can't hate the other 7. And I'm not going to hate the other 7. I'm not. Just because 3 white people don't like me, I'm not going to hate the other 7. And just because 3 black people are thugs and criminals doesn't mean that I'm going to hate the other 7 blacks out of 10. It doesn't make sense. This is my thing. For those that want to progress in life, let's progress in life. For those that want to be stuck on slavery and white supremacy and this, that, and the third, then I'll leave you there. But my train is taking off. And I can't be stuck in something that happened 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,000 years ago. Because from my research, my study, my DNA bloodline, my people's been slaves since the beginning of time because they were hard-headed. On top of that, if black people in America understand certain things, then what seems to be the issue and the problem? Because it's time to stop pointing fingers, because the only thing I'm hearing from the black community is complaints. And I don't hear no solutions. And if you're telling me that this person is my enemy, then why am I giving my plans to my enemy? Because that's what I was told yesterday. I was told that there was a black plan in place, a black agenda, and they're trying to get the government on board. But if the government is your enemy, why are you giving them your plan? I'm confused. So, but what I'm saying is, because one person, but that is the mindset of somebody that doesn't know better. I can't hold a whole race accountable for a few ignorants. Just like you can't hold the black race accountable for the murderers, the drug dealers, Section 8 welfare. I can't hold a whole race of people accountable for the ignorant few. People wish to focus on negativity. And that's the point that I'm making. When are we going to stop focusing on the negativity? When are we going to stop focusing on the problem and really come up with a solution? If we spend 1.2 trillion, why aren't we investing in our own politicians in our city? Why people are so quick to judge someone? Because they don't know better, Big Juice. Why don't we take our money and invest in ourselves? Why don't we take our money and invest in our own politicians in our cities? I'm confused. And then if you're telling me that the government is the enemy, then why are you keep marching and going to the government for help? Why do you think your enemy is going to help you? That is the question that nobody can seem to answer. But when I get someone like a wonderful manager at a CVS this morning who called me sweetie and gave me a great big smile, we still have to be aware of how racism has and still infected us. I take a person on how they are. I don't say, oh man, I walked into a white store, it's a white lady in here, she might be a racist. One thing I learned sitting down having a conversation with Mama Quita was, if I keep thinking certain things was going to happen, eventually they will. So if it's systematic racism, when are we coming out of the system? And let's not even talk about white Americans. When are black people going to come out the system? Because I can't buy it. You can't keep selling me this. I can't buy it. So if we understand that there's systematic racism, then change it. Stop complaining about it. Change it. Right. We keep talking this into an existence. You have to acknowledge what it has done. They done made millions of movies. They done wrote hundreds of books. It's plastered all over everywhere. I'm saying. So it has been acknowledged. It's been acknowledged. Rule of thumb, keep your enemies close and learn what's going on. It has been acknowledged. You can't change what you will not acknowledge. It has been acknowledged. Most of slave movies are backed by white companies. Name me one movie in the theater. Name me one movie in a theater or that is out that has not been funded by a white company. Our school system is messed up because we allowed our school system to get messed up. If that is the found, again, change it. We vote for the same people all the time, and we keep getting the same results. So to keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, thinking you're going to get a different result, then you know what that means. So it goes way deeper. I ain't got time to go back in time. What are we doing right now moving forward? It happened. Okay. I got slapped in the face. I didn't do nothing about it. So now what? Am I going to come in every day and dwell on the fact that I got slapped in the face? Or am I going to move on and make sure I have preventive measures of not being slapped in the face again? I'm confused. because I love all God's children. And just like I told the brother yesterday, I don't follow Allah, I follow Jesus Christ. Jesus told me anything that I want, I can have. He told me whatever door he opens, no man can shut. So if God opened the door for me, no white supremacists, no systematic racism can shut that door. I don't care how hard they try. First off, Kamala Harris is not black. She's Indian. Second of all, she dropped out because she didn't have no support. And because you don't have any support means that you can't raise any money. This is why Tyler Perry opened his own studios. Will white people work there, or will they be looked at differently? Well, white people do work for Tyler Perry, and Tyler Perry opens his own studio, but he's distributed by a white company. So again, how many movies, TV shows, radio, anything that is not backed by white corporations? Everyone doesn't have the same type of faith. And you're absolutely right. They don't have the same type of faith. But the one true living God that I believe in may be different from everybody else. But, so let me ask this question. When, from the time they say we got here up into Dr. King, it was about Jesus. We progressed. Soon as it became about every other God, we went downhill. Don't nobody see that? Or did I miss something? Because if the Nation of Islam was as strong as they say they are, then we will have our own schools. We'll have all the other stuff that they've been screaming about since the 50s. And my question is, if they are an enemy, then why do we keep playing with the enemy? If the government is my enemy, why am I going to him asking my enemy to help me? Why am I marching and begging the government to help me if I consider him an enemy? Faith is not about a particular God. Well, mine is. But there's only one God. There's only one God, and there's only one way to get to him, and that's through his son, Jesus Christ. I'm not bending, budging, breaking, arguing, fussing, fighting over that argument. Mama Quita said, but it's the same when you're hurt. Every time you talk about it, you reciprocate the hurt. It's like a scar that's healed, and you keep pulling the scab off of it. That's the point I'm talking about. You just said different gods. No, there's only one God. There's only one true living God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the God that said, let there be light, the God that breathed breath into Adam and gave him Eve, the same God that gave you his only begotten son, that whosoever believeth in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. That's where I stand. I'm not bending, budging, breaking off of that. Let's go back to the bus years. Would you share a seat with me if I was white or black? My thing is, Big Juice, God told me to love my enemy, my neighbor. Love you as I love myself. I said people believe, some people do. You have the Muslims who believe in Allah. You have the Hindus that believe in their 375 billion gods. You have the Chinese who believe in the fat dude. So you do. But there's only one true living God. There's only one. Every other God has been made up. Every other God was birthed through somebody's idea. And my thing is, if we keep going back and back and back and back, I agree with Mama Quita. We're going to hurt every time we keep going back. We're going to hurt every time we want to reciprocate that hurt. My thing is, we in 2019, 2020. What are you going to do? What seeds are you planting? What are you putting in your incubator? What are you planning to grow? And why do we have to constantly keep going back to the past? If I keep looking back, I'm going to eventually run into something. I'm not going to be able to focus on the future if I keep looking back. I'm not going to be able to focus on what's in front of me if I keep turning back. All white people ain't racist. All black people ain't criminals. I'm sorry. The truth is the truth. Because if that was the case, wouldn't be no Tyler Perry, wouldn't be no Michael Jackson. Wouldn't have been the first Civil Rights Act of 1886 that gave black people 40 acres and a mule. Let me ask you a question. How do you address a 5-year-old when he come home and tell you he feel ugly because the girl in his class told him brown people are ugly when he says he wishes we were peach? Well, then that's when I let him know that black is beautiful. Maybe she's ugly. Her inside is ugly. Yeah, God may go by many names, but there's only one God. I go by many names, but there's only one me. But the names that God go by is not what you're told outside of his realm of what he told you to call him. But that doesn't address why she said it. Then that will be between her and her parents. Then you will have to go in and educate that some people are ignorant. It doesn't put a Band-Aid over the problem if you address to your son the reason. You're going to deal with racism. You're going to deal with hate. But that doesn't mean that the next girl is going to tell him he's ugly. So what happened if the next girl come up and tell him that he's handsome? Or is he supposed to hate her? You have to address the racism. I'm not saying that you don't. But at the end of the day, you can't make somebody like something. Because somebody else has been told something. Nowadays, to think that all whites and races are out to get us in, to get us any way possible. You have to deal with it. I'm not saying don't deal with it. What I'm saying is I'm not going to allow it to stop my traction because it's here. I'm not going to allow it to stop me because somebody else feels some kind of way. Because like I said, not all white people are racist. I said leave the racism and slavery in the past. What I'm saying is stop complaining. Why are we still complaining instead of working on a solution? That is the point that I was making. Everybody wants to bring up. No. I'm not saying that anyone is saying that all whites are racist. But what I'm saying is, how long are we going to complain? And if we understand that there's a system, then how do you fix the system? And if you understand that the system is not, if you feel that the system is an enemy, then why are you either A, going to the enemy for help, or B, why aren't you infiltrating with those that has your common goal? No, not you're complaining, But there are blacks who I am around who complain all day, Jay. They complain all day. They complain about this, they complain about that. Not necessarily you, but there are blacks everywhere that complain, whine, and cry every day. God said the reason why most people don't succeed is because they complain. What's my solution? Well, I could tell you what has worked for me. No, I'm not saying that I'm with them. I'm just moving throughout. I hear people complaining all the time. I put my faith in Jesus Christ. I put my life, I surrendered. And ever since I've done that, I haven't worried or had any problems. I'm not going to say that they don't exist. And not everybody is going to follow Christ. You're absolutely right. But at the same time, though, I can't sit back and hold my train up because nobody wants to do anything. Like I told the brother yesterday, instead of complaining about the politicians, why aren't we raising politicians? We want football players. No. That's what I said. That's the solution. I said my solution. Now, to break it down, like I said, you complain about we complain. I hear complaints about the system. I hear complaints about the laws. I hear complaints about this. So instead of sending your children out to be football players, basketball players, why aren't we raising teachers? Why aren't we raising politicians? Why aren't we're tired of police coming into our neighborhood. Why aren't we birthing police officers? Everything that we said we have a problem about, why aren't we birthing those to fix it? How are you going to all come together as black people to make our people better? My question is, we're quick to put our children in sports, but we don't put them in science. We don't put them in the arts. We don't make sure that their math is right. We don't check the teachers. We're so busy caught up in social media and what is being told to us on television. If there's an issue and a problem with the laws, then why aren't we birthing politicians, lawyers, doctors, teachers? What are we so afraid of? But I know people who raise politicians, who have raised teachers. My son says he wants to be a police, so I have told him the good that is good, and I have talked to him. Some people, so don't say we, okay? No, I can't say we because you're black, I'm black. I'm here every day raising politicians. I'm here every day where I work, sitting with teens, putting them up on game, putting them up on policies, showing them bills and laws, things that you don't like. Well, this is the law. This is who wrote it. This is where it came from. This is who it is. How do you change this? How do you combat this? Okay, so then let me stop grouping everybody because I don't want to seem to be negative. So now, why aren't there more politicians being raised? Why aren't there more young men crave to be the police officers? On top of it all, they are robbing the school systems of black history teachings. But I can't rely on the school. If I can't rely on the schools, because last I checked, teaching starts at home. I can't rely on the school system. You are the black person who is saying all white people are devils. I never said all white people were devils. I never said that. Them words never came out of my mouth. That I didn't say. I said just because it's 3 out of the 10 don't mean I have to hate the other 7. I never said that all white people are devils. Ms. Margot say, I don't think it's so much of afraid. It's too much to work to go outside the norm. I agree with that. Like what person? I never said all white people are devils. I never said that. Them words never came out of my mouth. I can't even fix my mouth to say that all white people are devils. Because that would be a lie. Because if that was the case, Big Juice wouldn't be on here. If that was the case, I wouldn't have the whites that follow me. You said because we're not doing this and we don't do that, you are the same as the people who says that. So let me ask a question. So if I can't, I can't correct something, but something needs to be fixed. So am I just not supposed to say nothing at all? No, because it sounds like I should just not say anything at all. Because if I say my black people need to stand up and start taking care of each other, now I hate black people. And if I switch it around, now I'm saying all white people are devils. Because now I'm confused. Because either I hate black people or I hate white people. Or do I just not say nothing at all? And I'm generalizing. But I'm black, dude. I live in a black community. I see things that happen to black people. So as a black man who loves his people, when I want to input correction, I said I'm just around people who I hear complain all the time. And the only thing I tell them is stop complaining and fix the situation. A lot of people can't do the math alone, spell, and understand big words. The irony wears thin. But now, it sounds like that if I say something, then I hate white people. And I don't hate white people. I love my people. I'm confused. Mr. Devontae said white people have such leverages in speech due to our people blood, sweat, and tears, yet we're the ones having to prove ourselves and our families. Prove to ourselves and our families that we can make it when we should already be on top. We built this. You're telling me to quit generalizing, but I'm not generalizing. Because if that was the case, then all black people would be thugs, drug dealers. All black people don't complain. I didn't say all black people complain. I said the ones that I am around. I said the black people that I'm around complain. I didn't say all black people complain. I never said all black people complain. I said the ones that I am around. So I didn't generalize anybody. I said the ones that I'm around. So, and I said that we are growing sports players who are doing things for the community. I know. I was just with one 2 weeks ago. I was just with one helping passing out turkeys 2 weeks ago. You said we. Okay, so most. So it's easy for white people to question and play victim and make us feel like predators when they are the real monsters. Right. Because when will we do something? Are we gonna do something, or do we divide ourselves? I'm confused. Do we divide ourselves? Will we come together and work together? Cause I'm now lost. So we see that is generalizing. We have to be intentional with how we speak. That sounds like the pronoun with the with the LMNOPs. You have to be careful what you say in 2019 because you might, yeah. Well, this is my stand. Whether anybody like my stand or not, this is where I stand. I feel that God told me anything I want, I can ask in his son Jesus' name. There's no door that he can open that no man will close. Anything that I ask can be given unto me. If he's divine, I'm the branch. I can be exceedingly and abundantly blessed. I found me a wife, I shall obtain favor. If I stay down and stay prayed up and stay in his presence, I will be good to go. Now, I was also told to love those that hate me. Because this forum is not very good for this type of topic. This forum is good for any type of topic. Because the only thing is, right now is almost lopsided because there's only one person that's watching, and that's Big Juice. So now, is it fair so let me ask this question. Is it fair what we saying while Big Juice is watching? Is it fair to Big Juice? Throughout this entire conversation, have we at one time offended Big Juice? Mr. Devontae said, teamwork makes the dream work. We as black people, you can't say we, Mr. Devontae, that is generalizing. We as black people need to work on togetherness and bring ourselves to know we own and run this. We literally put 85% of the money back into the economy. Mr. Devontae, I was just told that we can't say the word we because that is generalizing. But with all of this being said, with black and white, has anybody asked Big Juice how he felt? Has anybody asked Big Juice how he felt? No apologies. I'm just saying that's what was said to me. No, if it's a fact, it's a fact. No, it could be somebody else's fact. I stand on truth because facts vary depending on where you getting your facts from. Facts vary depending on where facts come from. So facts can be a little fickle. I like truth. So can we put all the facts together and come up with some truth? Because I want to know, have we offended Big Juice? Mr. Devontae, they said you are correct, but we are too busy having the crab in the bucket mentality. But if we contribute into the economy, it is undisputable. That we put 85% of the money back into the economy, or we as black people need to work together. Or we can't say the word we because that's generalizing. I'm trying to understand. So, Big Juice, how do you feel? You agree that we do have a crab in the bucket mentality? But you said I agree that many do have. Miss Teresa, you can't use the word we because that is generalizing. Man, listen. I'm going to end it like this. I don't have time to keep looking back. I'm moving forward. And I took the generalized statement the wrong way. No, I took the generalized statement how it came. And the only thing I said was, so it wouldn't be considered generalization, don't use the word we. Because I wanted to keep it neutral. And I wanted to make sure everybody's point can be heard. It's not taking it the wrong way. It's just making sure everybody is, that it is fair on both sides. Because he can't read the statement because one is coming through YouTube and Jay is on Facebook. So I just want to make sure that that I'm not generalizing because I'm reading off a statement. Ms. Teresa said we do contribute 85%, but we're too worried about the next person having more than we do. That's why we won't come together as a people. I do agree with that because even Jay said that many of us do have the crab in the bucket mentality. But the question now becomes, how do we change the mindset? And why aren't we changing the mindset? And if we are contributing so much to the economy, why is our communities the worst? And how do we change the mindset? These are the questions that I've been asking and even asked the doctor yesterday. How do we unpsychologically program ourselves? How do we change mentally? How do we kill this? Because as you said, Mama Quita, we keep rehashing it and it's a hurting feeling. Jay said that we need to acknowledge it. It has been acknowledged. Right. And I was speaking about our race earlier too, but now I'm being an asshole about the situation. And I don't mean to be an asshole. I'm just asking questions. How do we change the mentality? Where does it start? What do we do? I can't, if the government is considered my enemy, then where does it start? Education starts at home. It's an individual decision. Right. So now, if it's an individual decision, how does an individual decision now trickle down into us as a people? How does that take place? How do we take an individual decision and now trickle it down? I have a dream was Dr. King said we should segregate. He got that no. The I have a dream was to go against segregation. Then 10 years later, he said that we think that we should still be segregated. That he felt that integration was sending his people into a burning house. That was an individual decision, but it became for everybody. So now how does an individual decision now help form everybody? Jay says not only acknowledging it, but understand how it affects, when it affects. I agree with education starts at home, but you have to realize many people do not understand what that means. And he's absolutely correct. But Jay, how do we take an individual decision and make it to where it will become acknowledgeable, understandable, and when and how and the where? So how do we do that? How? Because Ms. Teresa said it's an individual decision. So how do we be able to take an individual decision to bring in the acknowledgement and to bring in the understanding? Because there was one and then it changed 10 years later. Miss Teresa said, as the Bible says, we have to die to our flesh daily. When you know better, you do better. I like that. And just to play the a-hole advocate, Miss Teresa, I didn't say Bixby, I said a-hole advocate. To play the a-hole advocate that I've been playing for the last 10 minutes, Jay made the point that everybody doesn't agree agree with the Bible. Everybody doesn't agree or believe in what you believe. So now how do we institute when you know better, you do better, or you die to your flesh daily? Jay said you do it by an example. Okay, but now one person doing it by an example. When you learn better, we supposed to teach better. If we do that, it will begin to change. Jay, do you think people will be open to be retaught? Mr. Reese said when you learn better, you're supposed to teach better. Do you think that some people are open to be retaught? Jay said the nice industry says one man can make a difference. He said many needed to be reprogrammed, but are they willing to be reprogrammed? Are they willing to learn? And even if they are taught, will they be willing to participate? You have to show the benefits. What if that benefit takes a while to come through? What if what Miss Teresa is saying takes 10 years? Night Rider joke, I'm a nerd. But what if it takes 10 years before you even start seeing a sign of the benefits? But how many people are willing to wait 10 years? Some people love instant gratification. They don't like delayed gratification. Jay says this is a marathon, not a sprint. And I agree. But what about the mindset of those that feel it should be a sprint because they feel that we're old? But what about those who feel it should happen like that because we are old? You owe me something. Fuck, I forgot to clock out. Because not everybody is going to feel the marathon. Not everybody is going to be down with the marathon. They took out 40 acres and a mule. They took this. They killed that. They did this. They did that. Why? Jay said it would take longer than 10 years. Do you think it would really take longer than 10 years? You honestly think it would take longer than that? With all the new technology, with all that we know, with all the information that's out, with everything that's being said, you think it would take longer than 10 years? Because a lot of things are already in place. A lot of systems are already set up. Good morning, Ms. Parks. Ms. Parks said the big picture has to be made plain to people. Here we are. I can read it up here. The big picture has to be made plain to people so we'll know what role we need to play in bringing about change. It's a paradigm shift economically, mentally, and emotionally. No, I agree. And Ms. Teresa said we didn't get like this overnight. That I do know. But some people want instant gratification. But let me ask this question. You said I'm 46. I started having these conversations when I was 16. Yes. But you have been successful since your 20s. You must forgot I've known you since I was 15, 16. You may not feel that you were at the level you are now, but I've watched your success grow. And even to me, at a 15-year-old, you were successful then in what you were doing. And then you incorporated everything that you did and became more successful. And you might be better off now at 46 than you were when I was 16. But at the same time, to me, you were successful then. But then everybody looks at success differently. Everybody looks at success differently. So to me, you was well put together. You was very well read. You was very intelligent. You spoke how you needed to spoke. I've never seen you hungry. I've never seen you homeless. I've never seen you dirty. So to a 15-year-old at that time, you had success. You was in a house. You was living in a beautiful neighborhood. You owned the house that you lived in. So I guess the success depends on the person who's looking. Mama Quita said, that's it. Are they willing? Will we live in a microwave world and then want results? Then want right now results? Society has made life a sprint and not a marathon. It is meant to be. And I agree. Everybody wants it now. The government took our money. They took our 40 acres. I want it. Jay said it took almost 30 years for him to be where he is. But from what I've seen, to me, like I said, through my lens, you've been successful. And not even that. As y'all said, many has crab in a bucket mentality. If that was the case, I wouldn't be seen right now if we had the crab in the bucket mentality. Because you came in, you lift me up. You elevated me. I would barely be heard right now if you didn't come in and lift me up and elevate me. So, how do we change the mindset? Because we both do the same thing. So, since we both kind of do the same thing, just differently, but we're in the same industry, what will possess you? I know you're very different, but what will possess you to want to help elevate someone that's in the same exact industry doing the same exact thing that you're doing? He said it would take a long time for the majority to change their mind state. So let me ask this. How long do we have to wait for the majority? That's my question. You said it would take a long time for the majority to change their mind state. How long do we wait for the majority? Or do we move on with what we have? Let me go back up. Ms. Park said instant gratification will be manufacturing and producing our own goods. That will shut down big corporations slowly, but the giants will fall if we become more reliant on self, hence segregation. Now, Dr. King said that he felt integration was running his people into a burning house. So do you think us being segregated would be better? And let me ask you this question, Ms. Parks. When you say segregate, who are we segregating from? And if we start manufacturing and producing our own, wouldn't we become a big corporation in ourselves? Mama Quita said it would take longer because you have to transform the mind which works be going against the push of the agenda. So we'll be working against the media and society. But the question is, why not just deal with those? Like Jay said, I deal with those that I hang around people who have the same mindset, you know. And he said, we don't. I don't deal with the majority. I deal with the select few. Segregation, and he also says segregation actually works for him. But my question becomes, who do we segregate from? Miss Teresa said, and those are the people who are still waiting on the government to make change. That's what I was asking the doctor yesterday. Why am I going to ask the government for something that God has already given me? God has already given me the ability to do it. So why am I waiting on the government to do for me what God has already instilled in me to do for myself? Jay says, so I don't hear many people complaining. Exactly. Unfortunately for me, I am in a nonprofit that helps out an inner city. And what is crazy to me is some people who come to this nonprofit are well off, educated, have money, and yet they still complain. So are they part of the majority or are they part of the minority? And the question now becomes, if segregation works and if segregation is good, and if we have to go against the agenda and the propaganda of media and society, who now do we separate ourselves from? Who do we now segregate ourselves from? I say niggas. Good morning, Miss Precious. Ms. Park said exactly, that's the point. Build businesses that serves our community. But everybody in your community don't want your business. So which community are we serving? Are we serving the majority? Are we serving the minority? Who are we separating from? Are we separating from the government? Are we divided amongst ourselves as blacks? Do we leave those that don't want nothing over there? And do we go over here? Like, how does this work? We segregate our businesses and services. But as someone who does, I do visual creation. I create commercials. So let me ask this. Who do I segregate my business from? Because I create commercials. And I don't have a problem with creating commercials for major corporations. I don't have a problem creating commercials for small white businesses. So who are we segregating from? And who do we partner with to segregate? Jay said, I agree with the majority of what you say. However, we don't agree with some of your examples. That's true. That is why I don't deal with non-profits really anymore. And I can understand. I personally support those who influence masses. But my thing is, you never segregate yourself in business. Exactly. So that's my thing. Because I would do commercials for a white business. I would do commercials for Asian businesses, Indian businesses. I would never say, well, I'm a black business and I only make commercials for black businesses. That will be stupid. Just like the chick who says she don't want to perform in front of white people. I'm confused. So the question becomes, who do we segregate from? Because black money, Asian money, white money is still money. He said his biggest clients are Indian. And to segregate the businesses, that's kind of like cutting your nose to spite your face. Now, as far as community is concerned, yeah, I kind of agree with that. Miss Park said, do like the Jews. Make our dollar flip in our neighborhood 10 times before it leaves the hood. I agree. But but you're talking about two different things. No, I'm trying to bring it all back together because I believe in not segregating your business. Someone on YouTube said we segregate our businesses and services. That wasn't me. That wasn't me. So, if we don't segregate our businesses, which I agree, I definitely agree with that. So, but she said, do like the Jews, and Jay said, even like the Asians. Make it flip in our neighborhood 10 times before we leave. Always get the bag. But my thing is, who are we segregating from? Because I agree with Miss Teresa. We have people who still want to rely on the government for change. I agree with Jay when he says it's hard for the majority. He deals with those on the same mindset. So my question is, for those that are not in the same mindset the way we are, do we leave them out? And do we only build communities? Do we only build a community with those of like mind? We can still keep our businesses open to whoever wants to come in and, as Ms. Park say, and give us that bag. But do we now, who's invited into the community? Or do we still accept everyone that's in the community? Because not every black person is going to agree with Jay, Ms. Parks, or Ms. Teresa. But Jay said we have a hard time putting our businesses in our communities because of racism. But let me ask you this question, Jay. You said your biggest clients are Indian. Why isn't the African American community your biggest client? And he said we have a hard time putting businesses in our communities because of racism. So my question now becomes, who's in the neighborhood? You love me because you hate typing. I asked you if you had Zoom. Because most black people I've dealt with wants the hookup. So now, who do we let in the community? Who do we so do we segregate against most of the black people? I'm just I don't do too much of the hookup. And I can understand that. But my thing is, so how do we but let me ask you this question. You said most. You didn't say all. You said but most of the black people you have dealt with wants the hookup. But let me ask this question. The same blacks who wants the hookup doesn't ask for the hookup from nobody else. Why is that? Ms. Park said, but when it comes to opportunity for the youth, you to have jobs to offer them, to get to learn the skills for free, help your brother out when he needs, bank with a black bank where more opportunity is available. You have jobs to offer them. They can learn skills for free. Help your brother out when he needs. Bank with a black bank where more opportunities is available. Oh. Jay said he agrees with you, Miss Parks. I do agree in helping building our youth because that's the education part. That's the teaching part. The building of a skill to give them something that they can help bring something. As Mama Quita said, that is the seed that you plant to incubate to get something back from through our youth. Help your brother out when he's in need. I definitely agree with that. However, why is it okay for me to ask you for the hookup, Jay, when I wouldn't ask anybody else? Jay said he does all those things except the black bank. He travels too much. Ms. Parks also goes on to say that's when teaching comes in. You have to teach customers how business works, so they'll know how to spend in a way that benefits the community. But if we are segregating, who are we nobody's answered this question. Who are we segregating from? Ms. Teresa said, true, Ms. Parks, but you still have the individuals who don't want to learn and work because they think someone owes them something. And again, I ask, who do we segregate from? And how do we help and grow those, Jay, as Ms. Teresa said, how do we help and grow those who's individuals who don't want to work, who don't want to learn because they feel somebody owes them something? Jay said he had to get a white partner in order to get more money. So let me ask, do we in business? No, we've already established that you don't segregate business. We don't do that. That's a no-no. We've already established that. And YouTube agreed with you, and everybody agreed with that. But when it comes to segregating community-wise, because we're talking about building, who do we segregate from? Miss Mama Quita said that's a huge problem, especially with our people, and I agree. We still have a lot of individuals that don't want to learn and don't want to work. And they feels that people owe them something. So community-wise, who do we segregate from? Because we've already established not to segregate in the business. Because money is money. The only color when it comes to money is green. So who do we segregate from? Jay said they get left. If you don't want to learn, you don't want to work, you feel somebody owe you something, they get left. Jay said, I surround myself with people who have the same mindset. I segregate myself from the majority of people. Kind of sound like come out of the world. You should be different from the world. But if we're trying to build a community, who do we segregate against? We segregate from big businesses. I'm a big business. I own a media conglomerate. We're in the radio, TV, magazines, print, commercials. We're about to, in 2020, we about to bring you Mama Quita's TV show. I'm considered a big business. I'm into music, publishing, book publishing, print. So who do we segregate from? We segregate from big businesses, all the businesses that fund racism or any other agenda that does not benefit the community. We spend the most and have the least. So Jay, do you agree that we segregate from big businesses? Ms. Teresa said you can't segregate. The past showed that. If we did, we would still be segregated. Jay says, I know majority of positive black men, so I don't know the deadbeat dads. I don't know any deadbeat dads. I surround myself around business owners, so I don't know people who complain. And that's where I'm trying to be. Jay said we shouldn't segregate against big businesses, Ms. Parks. He said we use businesses. So my question becomes, not every big business funds racism and other agendas. And to believe it or not, a lot of these businesses jump on things for capital gain, period. The LGBT month, we don't agree with the gays, but we're going to do a rainbow cup, though, so we can make some money. So what if it's that? We don't agree with the gays, but we going to hang a rainbow flag up for gay month, for Pride month, just so we can capitalize. Jay says some say segregation is the worst thing that happened to black people. Before that, we had our own businesses and our own communities because we had to. Right, so when we had to rely on each other, and I think that's what Ms. Parks is saying. If we're going to build our communities, we need to rely on each other. But then to rely on each other, it still goes back to what Ms. Teresa said. Not everybody is going to want to learn or work. So again, how do we segregate? Who do we segregate? And we are aware that we spend the most and have the least, but it does not make a difference. It goes back to the mindset, and I agree with that. Jay has been saying it. Ms. Teresa has said it. Ms. Parks has said it. Ms. Margot has said it. I've asked the same questions. It's all about the mindset. It's about what seeds has been sown in the mind. And since we're talking about incubation, whatever has been sown in the mind, as Mama Quita said, it has been internalized. It has been nurtured. And it manifests and it births itself. Jay said to rely on each other, we have to support. But at this time in the game, it is hard, but not impossible. So I still ask, how do we change the mindset? Or do we just seek out those that are like-minded and separate from those who aren't. But if we separate from those who are not like-minded, if we separate from the majority, will we not be our brother's keeper? Will we be going against being a brother's keeper if we separated from the majority? We wanted equal rights by integrating. We thought that we would get equal rights, but our numbers were used against us. Yeah. He said, look up Slim and Husky's Pizza Berea. They are black-owned businesses that has done things in a great way for communities and built their empire. Jay said, here's a blueprint right here. Slim and Husky's Pizzas Berea. For those that are on YouTube. He said they are a black-owned business that has done things in a great way for communities, such as built their great way for communities and built their empire. Jay, we need $1 million because I need to find an answer to the questions. Yo, I got like 2 commercials to do. Bottom line for me, I show through action. You know that. Long story short, for me, I show through my actions, and that I do know. Actually, they really are the blueprint. So I'm gonna go look them up. Slim and Husky's Pizza Berea. Lead by example. Getting the money is easy, and that is true. Getting money is easy. Ms. Park said lead by example. And if we're going to lead by example, again, are we segregating ourselves from those that don't want to follow the example? Do we leave them behind? Do we not be our brother's keeper? Would we be considered crabs in the bucket at that point? He said they started in Nashville, now they are in Atlanta. Will we be considered sellouts? For those that feel that they're still relying on the government? Will we be considered haters? And if we do business with these people, or with certain people, if we do businesses with certain people, can we not live with certain people? And Jay says, keep ourselves around like-minded people. I've been in After Effects, but not the way I need to. My business may be taking off more, so I may need some editing. You know how to find me. Oh, and I'm going to hit you in your inbox because I changed my number. So I'm going to send you my new number because my old number expires at the end of the month. One last thing. The sellout mentality, we all... He said, F the sellout mentality. We all sell out. One love, my brother. Thank you for coming in. So I agree. Lead by example. When you worry about selling out, hang around like-minded people, build ourselves up, bring ourselves close together. Be mindful of the individuals who don't want to learn and don't want to work, because I think those are our true crabs in the bucket. Pay attention to the seeds that are being sold, because the seeds that you're taking in, as Mama Quita tell y'all all the time, be careful of what you allow to come in. And one great thing that Mama Quita always says, if she doesn't say anything else, everything starts with you. So what are you taking in? What are you allowed to be sown into your life? What are you placing in your incubator? Ms. Park said, yes, leave the ones that don't want to learn. When they see the profit, they may want to jump on the bandwagon after seeing success. True, I agree and I don't agree. I agree that some will, but I feel real deep down in my gut right now that many will only jump on to leech, because it keeps taking me back to Miss Teresa's comment of those who feel somebody owes them something. And now, if you leave the ones who don't want to learn, who don't want to work, and they still feel you owe them something, do you see the beef in that? Because I agree. I don't have time to hear the bickering, complaining, and moaning when we have the tools. God said, I've given you everything that you need to do what you need to do. We have the tools and the success to be great. We have the tools and the success to do what needs to be done. But not everybody wants to participate. Not everybody is going to be down, because not everybody is given the same seeds. Not every seed will be planted. Not every seed will, once it's planted, won't get uprooted. Some will die because it's not deep rooted enough. Some will grow up with thorns, and some will be placed on great soil. The question is, what are you taking into your incubator? What are you taking into your mindset? Who are you surrounding yourselves with? This is something Miss Teresa put me on to yesterday. Well, day before yesterday. Those that are in your corner, those that you affiliate with, those that you associate yourself with. Who are you associating with? What are you putting into your incubator? Because I love the brother. I love the doctor who came at me yesterday. But what I know in his incubator is what Mama Quita said earlier about going back, hashing out, and going back to what has happened and peeling off scabs and revisiting the hurt, revisiting the pain, causing more hurt, more strife, more pain. Why don't I see that comment? Because I wanted to read it the way she wrote it. But it's the same when you're hurt. Every time you talk about it, you recreate the hurt. It's like a scar that's healed, and you keep pulling off the scab. So, do you set yourself around those that keep bringing the hurt? Who are you allowing to feed your incubator? After a good seed is sown, who do you allow to come by and water? And Teresa said, I agree with Mr. J. We are all considered sellouts. You should, because I sold out for Jesus Christ. And I don't expect everybody to see it my way. I don't expect everybody to do it my way. I don't. But then when you start talking about being around like-minded people, Mama Quita always tell you to be around like-minded people. Be around people who are willing to grow. Be around people who want better. Be a brother's keeper to those that truly want to do what needs to be done. So again, I ask, who do we segregate from? Do we segregate from those who won't put nothing in our incubator but wants to take everything out once after seeing the success? A lot of our people are victims of the drug war, like myself. Stress is the enemy in our community. We have to debrief and reclaim our mind so we can function as a whole. Therapy works. And I agree. I was part of the drug game. I came up in the 80s. I banged out in the 90s. Stress is very deep in our community. Depression is very deep in our community. There's a lot of things that are very deep in our community. But it all goes back to who truly wants change, who truly wants to embrace change, who truly wants to have a renewing of the mind, who truly wants to change the mindset. As Mama Quita says, we are aware of a lot of things, and it doesn't make a difference because it always goes back to the mindset. So, if they're not willing to have a transformation of the mind, if there's no willing to have a transformation for betterment, jump on the train of betterment and move on. Israel spent 40 years in the wilderness because they complained. They spent 40 years for complaining. There was other things that they did, but one of the greatest things that they did was complain. And they never really looked towards a solution. They never really looked towards where their help truly came from. And I try not to knock and put down no other religion. But what I can tell you is this. From what I have seen, just based from what I have seen, not from nobody else, not from nobody else's perspective, what I've seen and what I've been through is once we took God out, once we took the word of God out, once our leaders left the word, round the time Ms. Parks is talking about the drug war, once we start instituting all these other, what's the word I'm looking for? Strange doctrines, Egyptology. We start idol worshiping. We start getting into idolatry. Once we left the foundation, our community has not been the same. Think about that. Some of the old spiritual hymns came from, I guess they said during slavery time, during the 1800s. Kumbaya, Hallelujah. These people who still had Yah attached to their names and still called out on Yah once they got into trouble. Because they knew him, they just didn't worship him until they got into trouble. But yet to turn back to him, you came out of slavery, you came out the black clothes, came out of Jim Crow. Dr. King led with the church, with the Bible, with the word of God, through segregation. And then as soon as we got to a certain point, we left. Then it became about skin color and not about Christ. It became about skin color and not about God. We put God to the side. And then once we put God to the side, other gods creeped in. Well, you black, my brother. And the first thing that they told you was Jesus wasn't real and the Bible wasn't real. They lied to us. They connived us. And as soon as that happened, our communities took a turn for the worse. I'm not saying everybody is going to see it that way. I'm not saying everybody is going to agree because I'm not expecting everybody to agree. But that's just what I have been shown. And that is what I have seen. And now there is a great falling away. Now there is a greater gap. there is a greater wedge between God and his people. And now, look at where we are. We can't even come together to have a conversation. We can't even have family gatherings. And now we are so far away from Jesus. Everything is in motion. Everything is doing what it does. Even the church is far away from Christ. And this is why everything can creep up in the church. This is why everything is creeping up into everything that we've done. When they took the Bible and when they took prayer out of the schools, schools went crazy. Now they want to take the 10 Commandments out of the courthouse. They want to take In God We Trust out of the courthouse. They want to take it off the money. They want to take God away from everything. And if you haven't peeped that move, every time they take God, every time they take Jesus away from something, it crashes, it fails, and it burns. So that's my time, man. I thank y'all. Sorry I went 15 minutes over. I see y'all back here on Monday. Just to give you something to think about. Just think about that. Everything that we took God and Jesus out of is now a problem. They don't even hardly say Jesus in gospel songs anymore. Again. Just think about that. They took God out of marriage. Now anybody can get married. When the foundation has been corrupted, everything else follows. So that's my time, man. I'm going to take y'all out of here. And I hope y'all enjoy y'all weekend. Y'all have a great weekend. I love each and every one of y'all. Thank y'all for your comments. Big up to my man, Jay. Hey. I love y'all, Miss Parks, Miss Teresa, Big Juice, Mama Quita, Miss Margot, Jay, Miss Precious, Miss Other Teresa. Everybody that tuned in, came in, Stevie Steve, everybody, I love y'all, man. Y'all have a great weekend. Put God first. Seek the kingdom of heaven first and all his righteousness and all that you do. Stay down, stay prayed up. Be a blessing to somebody. Love somebody. I thank everybody. Mama Quita, thank you for coming in, giving us the incubation and how it all tied in to everything, not just based on how you treat women and to men. Mama Quita said it best. Be careful what you give a woman, because she would take it. She would think on it, ponder on it, nurture it, manifest it, and she will rebirth it back to you. The question is, what are you sowing in life, period? Even what are you sowing into your woman? Because what you sow into her, she will give back. But what you sow into the world, you shall also reap also. God is so amazing. And if you don't believe me, try him for yourself. Gov gone.
Yo, Vegas. You know they say there's no more good men out here, right? I guess we're not that easily impressed.
Tell me, do you really know what love is? In and out relationship worthless. Man was put on earth with a purpose. Good woman by his side, together focused. See, listening to your friends can get you caught up. When you're going through the motion, hit God up. See, man was put on earth with a purpose. Good woman by your side to stay focused.
So can you be the first lady, stand next to the governor? God's the foundation. That solid love, looking for a nigga. I put away niggerish ways, long with childish things. I'm a grown man, can you sit at dinners that are correspondence? Know how to place your toes in sands and beaches foreign. Say understand, my blessings come in the abundance. Know I attain favor, if it's you I find. I love how you teach through your speech. You walk like a virtuous woman. So baby, can you preach? Does wisdom grace your tongue? Can you stand next to a king? Say nah, I ain't chasing riches, it's wealth I'm leaving. A heritage for our children, starting it off with wisdom. And all of your getting understanding, get this. The realest thing I could ever tell you is lean to God's understanding, not your girlfriend's whispering.
Tell me, do you really know what love is? In and out relationship worthless. Man was put on earth with a purpose. Good woman by his side, together focused. See, listening to your friends can get you caught up. When you're going through the motion, hit God up. See, a man was put on earth with a purpose. Good woman by your side to stay focused.
Say, are you in church to find man or to find God? What are you bringing to the table besides that pretty face? What's between your thighs? Your pause has its answers, it contradicts your eyes. Cover girl lies. Are you equally yoked with those you associate? With your girlfriend's drama be defecation we never ate? Say, do you have children? Do you love being a mother? What's the relationship like between you and the father? What's the bond with your parents? Where you see yourself in 5 years? Are you sheltered, driving, working? Are you moving up in corporate? What's your views on celibacy? Marriage, family, honesty, loyalty, have a sense of humor. Can you answer these? What's your skills in the kitchen that I'm missing? So delicious, make you that woman I'm willing to submit to. Will you submit to me? Would you pray with me? Wait, do you even know what love means?
Tell me, do you really know what love is? In and out relationship worthless. Man was put on earth with a purpose. Good woman by his side, together focused. See, listening to your friends can get you caught up. When you're going through the motion, hit God up. See, a man was put on earth with a purpose. Good woman by your side to stay focused.
I guess you rule, that makes me Boaz. So do you really know what love is? They say love is patient, we don't have to rush this. We can take our time, work at it. God say love is kind and don't envy, boast or be proud. From Mars they can see how this purity gets down. Cause love ain't dishonest and love ain't self-seeking. Are you easily angered? Love, where's your meekness? Are you constantly speaking records of his wrong? Haven't healed from daddy's past, that's why you delight in evil. Say, will you rejoice in the truth? Especially if I speak it and you know I protect you. Cause God say that's what love do. Love protects, that means I profess, provide, always trust, and always keep hope alive. I'll preserve this love for you, cause love never fails. I love you, baby, sincerely, blessed.
Tell me, do you really know what love is? In and out relationship worthless. Man was put on earth with a purpose. Good woman by his side, together focused. See, listening to your friends can get you caught up. When you're going through the motion, hit God up. See, a man was put on earth with a purpose. Good woman by your side to stay focused.
It's time to get up and get ready. For the hottest morning show in the ATL. It's the Wake, Bake, and Coffee Morning Show. Live with Georgia First Black Governor.